So I played Horizon Forbidden West the other day, and I was immensely excited for another Sony AAA gaming experience. Some of my favorite games are God of War, Ratchet & Clank, and the first Horizon. While I was playing Forbidden West though, something just didn't feel right. I wasn't caring about any of the characters or the stories the game was trying to tell, the locations just felt empty, and the open world felt like a checklist of chores to get done. These used to be some of my favorite things to do in games, but why are they boring now? I truly thought that I was falling out of love with video games. And then Elden Ring dropped. I don't like open world games. I understand the feeling of getting completely enveloped into a video game, but that has never happened to me with an open world before. If you would have asked me 5 years ago, Breath of the Wild would have been the open world game that completely captivated my attention. But with the more time that passes, I grow less and less fascinated with that game. It's no longer my favorite open world game, but I will always look back fondly at the memories I have from playing it. When Breath of the Wild launched in 2017, the year before, I had just completely lost interest in anything video game related. I was in college, at a job I hated, and severely depressed, so video games just weren't a top priority for me. That was until the Switch was announced. Zelda is the franchise of my childhood, so of course I'm gonna buy the newest console, just to play the latest entry in the series. Grabbing my Switch at midnight and playing Breath of the Wild until 4 in the morning was that rush of excitement that I was looking for in my life. It brought me back to a hobby that I genuinely love and was severely missing. And 5 years later, Elden Ring has done the exact same thing. It took me a while to get into From Software's games, and the first one I actually played more than a couple hours of was Sekiro. I experienced that click that they talk so much about online, where everything just falls into place and you can finally breeze through the game, and I've just been hooked ever since. I had only tried Dark Souls before that, and I finally got to experience that immaculate level design with my second attempt at the game. The only ones I haven't beaten are Bloodborne and Dark Souls 3, but as long as I don't get burnt out on the formula, I'll be taking those down this year. Okay, let's finally talk about Elden Ring. From Software knows how to get into my head. In the starting area, I made sure to find a bonfire. I don't know what it's called. It's just called a bonfire to me, before dropping down the Tunnel of Pain, also known as the tutorial. I don't know, I can't say that word. It's the intro area. It's that little hole that you go down where you fight the first boss, okay? When I got to that first boss and the music started to swell, I knew it was go time. No way. There has to be another phase or something. After beating the first easy boss, I was so paranoid that this was all a trick that I didn't even let my guard down. These games have broken me to always expect the first boss to be insane, but what happened to that in Elden Ring? Ah, there it is. After this intro area, you walk out into the open world, and this just blew me away. The view was absolutely beautiful, but for a moment, I forgot this was a Souls game, and the world quickly became terrifying. After finding out I didn't want to go that way, I headed west of the shoreline, because there was an island I wanted to check out. I knew you can't swim in these games, so I couldn't make it across, so I decided to just wander around and found access to a cave. I didn't have a torch or a lantern yet, so I was guided by the cave moss and the enemies to find my way through the cave. After an amazing boss fight, I kept wandering through the cave because I hadn't hit a dead end yet, and when I exited, I couldn't believe what had just happened. The cave took me to the island that I wanted to go to without me even realizing it. I actually experienced that euphoric feeling of discovery people got when they talk about open world games like Skyrim and Breath of the Wild. I tried Skyrim, but I just couldn't get into it because dying to the Frost Troll while on the way to complete a main quest just felt like I was being punished for playing the game. Elden Ring did the same with the Tree Sentinel, but it felt easier to get around him, and I just really don't care for first-person games. With Breath of the Wild, my favorite part was getting to the top of the towers and looking out at the vast world to find the next shrine I was going to do. That never got old, and looking at the map in Elden Ring gave me that same feeling. I feel that we take maps for granted now in video games because not knowing what type of area I was going to go explore was exhilarating. With the penalty of dying being losing all your currency and experience points, which are rolled into one thing, knowing you have to go back to the same place you just died is stressful, especially if it's a new area. because all you can see is the main road and then a little spot on the map, but the game doesn't tell you what that is. So I took my horse on that old town road and found out that this spot is actually the location for the map of this area. This game is just absolutely genius with how it silently guides the player into discovering everything on their own, but hides so much out in the open. Finding something simple like a map to this new area that you were exploring was probably my favorite feeling in the early game, because it made me feel like I just acquired a tiny bit of safety by allowing me to see points of interest. That feeling quickly evolved into excitement as I studied the map to find the next point of interest I wanted to discover, and that's how I spent my first hours with this game. I only played Elden Ring for about 2 to 3 hours each night, and holy shit, I'm at 70 hours 2 weeks after release. This game has a toll on me. With those 2-hour sessions though, I've had a different experience each time I turn on the game. With previous games, I've been stuck on bosses for hours at a time, and sometimes spend the whole time failing at a boss over and over without accomplishing anything. With Elden Ring, you can go anywhere you want right at the beginning. I'm not saying that you aren't going to die along the journey, but that happens to all of us, right? I've explored underground caves, fought giant dragons, and even attended Midsummer, all at different nights of the week. There's just something about this game that makes me want to explore rather than rush through it to the end. With the bare minimum of story the game gives to you, it's not putting a fabricated time crunch on your situation by telling you the world is gonna end, so you better hurry up. The only waypoints are marked on the map, and they're just there to give you a general idea of where to head next. They're there to guide you to the next main boss, but even if you decided to go exploring instead, you might just run into one without even knowing it. That's the beauty of this game. You don't know what you're gonna find around any corner. You can have a good idea that you'll be fighting these little shits when you enter a cave, and there's gonna be a boss at the end, but that's what makes this game great. The reward for defeating a boss can usually be guessed after you've fought enough of them, but when you find that shiny new thing you weren't expecting, you want to immediately find out what you can do with it. There's one moment I really just wanted to talk about, and that's the chest that teleports you. You know how I said earlier in the video that these games have broken me mentally? Well, the first chest I found in the game was this one right here. I remember there were mimic chests in the previous games, so I made sure to hit this one before I opened it, and it still got me. I really felt like an idiot, and when I started to explore the area it sent me to, that's when I started to panic. I had a large number of runes that I didn't want to lose, and all these enemies barely take any damage, and the needles that get fired at me can kill me if I'm not on guard. With my previous experience playing these games, I knew there was only one thing that I could do to get out of this situation alive. Run like hell. Once I found a resting point and spent my runes, the amount of stress that lifted off my shoulders was euphoric. But I was still trapped in a new area where everything is poisonous and wants to kill me. So I looked at the map to see where I was, and seeing how far away I was from the starting point was just incredible to me. The scale of how big this game could get just absolutely blew my mind, and it kept happening with every new area I discovered. This moment right here was one of my favorites, because it's exactly something that I would expect to be in this game, which is rarely found in any other game. Elden Ring is truly the first fictional world that I've gotten completely immersed into, and it is one of my favorite gaming experiences of all time. I beat the game the other night, and while things at the end did start to repeat themselves and there has been some faults, the journey along the way has been a monumental achievement, and it will not be duplicated anytime soon. I'm gonna make an hour-long video on this game, but that's just not gonna happen anytime soon. For right now though, I'm gonna just soak it in and enjoy every single aspect of what little I have left of this game. I'm beyond excited to either comb through this entire world or just start the game completely over again, and I really don't know which one I want to do first. Elden Ring was released at exactly the right time for me, and it reignited that excitement I get for when I truly enjoy this medium. I don't know when I'll get another experience like this one, but for right now, I am more determined than ever to go out and find it. Thank you for watching my video, and I love you all.